seems there are a lot of cases of insecurity in the country there, from Kitui, Isiolo, and of course right here in the capital, Nairobi. As I've earlier promised you, I'm together with Dennis Nthumbi in studio. He's a security analyst. And Dennis, good afternoon once again. Of course, these are isolated cases. All of them have their own dynamics. But let's zero in on what happened in Nairobi. That is, to be specific, in Mathare, where 4 people were killed. We're also getting reports that Ruaraka, there are also some kind of insecurity reported there. Our reporter Caroline Bistel, I'm going to link up with her. Of course, we've seen the statement from the police denying that this is not based on ethnic clashes whatsoever. Of course, they're saying they are still conducting their investigation. They're going to give us a conclusive report. Now, Mathare is a sharply divided slum in the capital. So where will that leave the police? Bearing in mind on Friday, they were very much criticized for how they handled the welcoming of the NASA leader.
Yeah, certainly if you look at the area of Mathare, and the incidents just didn't happen in Mathare, they also happen in an area called Riverside and Kariadudu. And if you look at it, it will be very difficult just to categorize this as ethnic cleansing of whatever sort. And also bring in the issue of a quasi-military unit that has been endorsed by the government, working in cahoots with the government or thereabout. I think we honestly need to look at the statement that has been given by the police, and then work with the guys on the ground and see what it is that there is. But the police have, the mandate to carry out a centric, a centric investigation that doesn't seem like it's leaning on one part of the political divide or not. The issue, Yusuf, is that we are in an environment that everything seems to be political. If you drink tea with a red cup, you're Jubilee. If you drink tea with an orange cup, it's Jubilee. Normal crime incidents could be branded anything of the sort. So we have to be very careful not to endorse a quasi-military, type of killing, because then the spin-off of something like this is something that we're not able to take as a city.
So you're saying it's still early to judge these killings as political instigated?
It's absolutely very early to judge as political instigated killing. And because I'll be asking myself is that what would the person be gaining out of this? What would be the intent of, because I know 2 are killed from Kariadudu. I actually know the lady and what the mother does and thereabout. So we're able to follow a trail independently and see, is this a normal crime or is this militarily, or is this politically driven and thereabout. What I'm saying is that the nation is at a fragile state. In fact, if we do what it is that we call security assessments, is that one spark could ignite this nation into flames that we're not able to handle as citizens.
So you wouldn't be surprised if the report or from the investigation the police are going to hold, once they say that this is a politically kind of instigated attack, you wouldn't be surprised with the situation the country is in.
If with the place where we are as a country, it wouldn't be a surprise if the killings are politically instigated. But what it looks is that now we have to treat it as anything and then look at independent police investigations in terms of where they lead us to. They could lead us to a smaller problem or a bigger problem. Right now also, you'll be interested to know is that there's likely to be an upsurge of crime in the city. Of course, given on the fact that the political situation has shaped the economical situation, and also what happens is that we're in a place where we completely have thrown away certain values. And I'm looking at you from a certain tribe. Any kind of political insinuation, whether we are at a bar drinking or whatever it is, could lead to a fatality. So what I'm saying is that we need to be very careful in terms of which narrative we shape. That narrative has to be shaped by factual, professional investigations that are led by the police.
Actually, there have been a lot of conflicting reports, especially on social media. And this is not the first time people posting even pictures from other events that happened in a different place. Now, the vehicles that were burnt down on Friday during the homecoming of the NASA leader Raila Odinga. We've seen another case today. They're also saying that this might be some sort of a retaliatory attack.
Certainly, you see what happens is that there are several things that we're working with here. The fact is that there's been a strong anti-police sentiment that has grown over the time. And this is the only unit that we can go to and say, please protect us from any quasi-military organizations. The truth is that there's bound to be retaliatory attacks, especially from units that would form themselves to be seen as though they're protecting business, business communities from any kind of losses that are incurred from a group affiliated by NASA or Jubilee or thereabout. So this is not something that we can wish away. This is something that would actually be actual and can be realized within a very short period of time. What we need to do is look at it deep, and what we need to do is the police need to move with speed to see how do you adjudicate losses. Because if you look at the Public Act order, chapter 56, is that it provides for compensation on anybody who has lost anything based on chaos or thereabout. So what we need to do is make sure that any loss is quickly compensated, and there's some sort of nyumba kumi. We need to dialogue quickly when these incidents happen. Otherwise, if we have one group feeling aggrieved with the other group, and so who's going to come and mediate that? That anger will boil to something, and you're going to look at groups hiring hitmen to try and revenge for the commercial loss.
And speaking about police being put in a bad picture,
correct.
On Friday, the deployment there has been referred to as the heaviest in Kenya in the recent history, and that is because of just one leader whose supporters wanted to welcome him back into the country.
Yes.
So do you think police could have handled the situation on Friday differently?
I think both Mr. Raila Odinga and the police might have put us in an awkward situation, because as a leader, when you see that something, the environment would come out to be chaotic, you shouldn't necessarily push your things through. On the other hand, I think the police were a bit heavy-handed. They should have really eased, but that's none of my worries.
Yes, and speaking about the police, Dennis, what you're seeing on the screen, there are live pictures from Ruaraka. It seems a heavy contingent of police officers have been deployed there just to contend the situation and make sure that everything is in order. Do you think more of that needs to be seen in these areas that are filled with tension?
As I said, neither Raila or the police are my worry right now is the growing is the fact that you saw that police fired live bullets on air. The youth didn't look moved. That is what needs to worry us. That there's a growing atmosphere, you understand, of a zombified community, that we don't care whether you kill us or not. We don't care whether we're breaking the law or not. We don't care whether we're endorsing the law or not. If we want to go north, we will go north. That is what needs to worry us, is that these young men are not scared of death. And that's why you see, in Uhuru Park, the police resorted to throwing stones rather than bullets. Because what do you do with a zombified units that's consistently moving towards you, even though you want them to stand down? And then, don't
you think the police are to blame maybe for that kind of a situation?
Not necessarily. As a citizen, you have the obligation to follow the law. And as a police, you have the obligation to enforce the law. There's something that we call the use of force. And the use of force has two dynamics. There's the escalation and de-escalation. They both strictly and continuously lie on the police and the citizenry. If the citizenry is seen as though they are obeying orders of the police force, then suddenly what we see is that the use of force, the coercive use of force, seems to grow by the ladder. And then you're likely to see fatalities thereabout. So the conversation needs to be, how then do we come to the middle point of ensuring that the law is followed? We don't have any growing, sentiments against, the establishment of the police or thereabout. They're not seen as the aggressors. And I liked the position that Mr. Kome took in terms of, let us work together, because at the end of the day, do we want to see more people dead? Do we want to see a fatigued police force that just wants to go there and execute whatever orders that there is? What exactly do we want to achieve as a nation? Do we want justice, peace, and stability? They can never be achieved. And there's a conversation of which one, the hen or the chicken, which one came first? Is it peace or justice that comes first thereabout? But the point is that we're likely to see more coercive power being used by the police if we see a more zombified youth unit moving consistently.
Speaking about the police, Dennis, let's get to hear the situation on the ground.